Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Michael Fillios, founder and CEO of IT Ally and a CDO editorial board member. And we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Tony Mazzarella, Director of Data Governance from Voya Financial. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
My pleasure. So Tony, tell us about your background and what motivated you to pursue a career in the field of data management.
Oh man, okay. So, pretty diverse background, right? I grew up in a family business. My father and uncles were pioneers in educational video. So, I was always surrounded by technology and computers as a kid, which was definitely an advantage for me, growing up in the 90s. The first time I created a database is actually working for them, building a solution to manage stock footage and their master library, because this is pre-digital, so everything was physical. You had to scroll the time code, and so you had to know what was there. Through my 20s, I got more into software development. Things were starting to get a bit more digital then on the digital marketing side. I wasn't very good as a developer, right? But I if I'm honest, I had good technical knowledge and the advantage of really good soft skills, right? I could understand the technology, I could visualize solutions, I could articulate them very well. So that made me really useful, throwing me in a room with clients, because I could interact with the clients and prevent the sales guys from overcommitting and, just to get the sale. That kind of set the direction of my career for a while in technology, kind of on the digital agency side. And then the next real big thing was getting involved in the Civi CRM open source project. It was working with nonprofits to build out constituent management systems. These are really large, systems, very large open source package. The reason I bring that up is, around that time, I had a contract with Dema International, where they were using Civi CRM for a new website that they were building. And so I flew out to Enterprise Data World to meet the board of directors. And I'm sitting at this conference, I'm, soaking it all in. And I'm like, wow, these are the problem. These folks are dealing with the problems that I've been facing on a day-to-day basis for 10, 15 years now. And there's a body of knowledge, there's framework, there's decades and decades of experience here. And it kind of it clicked. And I also at that conference kind of found my people, right? That's really when I came into my own here. So that really set the stage, the trajectory for the next several years, where I did actually get more actively involved in Data International, even though I wasn't doing real enterprise kind of data work, and sort of many roles there for close to a decade. So when it came time for me to sort of figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, data was very much in the picture. So there was I first started working in the financial services industry in analytics, and from there, eventually that role evolved into building out a digital domain, getting to the data governance side, which I really liked. And so when the challenge presented itself, the opportunity presented itself to establish an enterprise data governance program at Voya, I jumped right on it. And that's how we're here today.
Got it. Yeah, no, I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And so maybe we'll talk a little bit about that role that you have now at Voya and maybe some of the projects you're working on. I know data governance is a topic, of course, that a lot of our constituents in CDO Magazine and our audience likes to hear about. So I'd love to get your perspective on what data governance looks like at Voya and a little bit more about your role there.
Yeah. So, Voya's a fantastic company to work for, and both from just very innovative culture. They're very future focused. Lots of transformation going on every day, which is a great opportunity for data governance, but also presents its own challenges with implementing data governance, right? Because the needle's always moving, the technology is always moving. We're moving very fast and changing as an organization at just about every level, which makes it really interesting. So, my job is, in its most simplistic form, is to establish an enterprise data governance program, right? We're a company that was built through acquisition. There's, we have 3 primary lines of business, and there are pockets of excellence in data governance, data quality throughout the organization. So I view my role as really, as an enabler and as a collaborator, and pulling everyone together and reducing, those barriers to entry for other parts of the organization that maybe want to get started here, right? So we're federated approach and really trying to be collaborative and innovative as enablers of making good decisions about data and defining how we do that. Some of the key things that we're working on right now, we had a bit of a reboot about a year ago with some leadership and major organizational changes. And so we took that time to reimagine data governance, make it a little bit more lean, a little bit more flexible, and a bit more practical. And to that end, we're focusing a lot on where we support the data strategy. We're doing some of our first move to cloud stuff. So a lot of our focus has been around, metadata in the cloud, the controls, and working with architecture to really define that vision, to have embedded governance and quality controls throughout that ecosystem. We're also doing some of the foundational stuff, right? Revisiting our policy and standards, and bringing on some of the newer capabilities, and enhancing our existing ones as far as metadata management, data quality, pipeline management, and all those cool things that are going to make our job a lot easier, being a small team in a company that isn't highly bureaucratic and very large. Sure.
I'm curious, as you indicated about the journey within Voya, how much of being a regulated company is factoring into your requirements, I guess?
So my life would be a lot easier if we were more regulated. Not that I'm advocating for more regulation, right? But no, we're not a bank, right? So we don't have a lot of those really strict data regulations. Obviously, we want to be good citizens, right? And so we do put our customers first, and we do make efforts to protect their data. But obviously, there's always some inherent risk that's a factor. But our biggest thing is really focusing on value, right? Maximizing the value that we're going to get out of the data, and that's particularly important for us right now because we are going through so much transformation, right? And we're doing some really cool things. We want to do more with data, right? And not to mention that, we're like I mentioned, we were built through acquisition, and that's a pretty significant hurdle for any organization to overcome, because we want to tap into all that data. We want to be able to understand where our most valuable data is and how to use it, and so that we can inevitably generate value out of it. So that's really our focus. So way more carrot, very, very, very small stick.
Got it. No, that's helpful. I know you shared with us some of your background in leading associations, right? And being a part of DAMA, for example, both on a regional as well as on an international scale. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about those organizations and your role working together with your peers, on a domestic and international level.
Yeah, of course. My time at DAMA, and still a member, but took a little bit of a step back from leadership. One, get some fresh blood in there. Two, doing the grad school thing and have some other priorities right now. So, but it was life-changing for me, right? And I wouldn't trade that experience and that community for anything in the world. That's really where I grew up as a data leader, right? Like I said, that I didn't even know data management was a thing until EDW, until I first met data. Like I said, I found my people. Some of those folks are my best friends, and I had many years of being a young guy in the room with the smartest people in our profession, right? From, every generation. That's really how I came into my own. The most interesting part is, as a profession, we have tremendous challenges, and from the international perspective, right? Especially my time as the chairman of the DMI President's Council, which is, all the chapter presidents from all over the world come together. We, as leaders in our day jobs, you had the everyday challenges of trying to implement data governance and achieve, good data and information quality. But even, the underlying themes from a chapter organization and engaging the community, right? Building that body of knowledge. What does good certification look like? How do we build relationships with academia to feed that data pipeline, right? We're all common themes that we were seeing across the board. And, there was really nothing better than getting to establish relationships with people from other cultures, other companies, right? I've done talks for China, in the EU. I've gone to conferences all over the world, we're, no matter what the differences are in our cultures and how we run our businesses, we're all facing the same challenges. And as a profession, what we do really well is share information. Right. We're here to help each other. I get on, some of these, go to some of these conferences, get these networking calls. And sometimes, it starts out when we're talking about really tangible things, then it kind of becomes a bit of a therapy session. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think we all need that as we're navigating this, quickly changing landscape.
Very good. Well, we're going to leave it at that, Tony. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course. And my pleasure.
To learn more about CDO Magazine or to view more interviews, please visit cdomagazine.tech.